And now let's talk to Father Flavie Villanueva for his reaction to former President Duterte's arrest and transfer to The Hague after years of seeking justice for victims of the drug war. Father Flavie, magandang umaga po and thank you for joining us. Father Flavie, baka naka-mute kayo.
Sorry.
There you go. For a moment, I was worried about that. Hi, Father Flavie, thank you for joining us, Father.
Long time.
Good morning po. Father Flavie, just a few hours ago, the former president was finally turned over to the ICC. They have sort of a reception committee or council there for registration with the ICC. Now, just a few years ago, I think very few people would have thought that this moment would ever happen. I mean, I remember, I remember that. Parang, what's the likelihood of this ever getting that far? And just if only for that, I can't possibly imagine what you and the families of the victims are feeling right now. Can you tell us a bit of what's going on inside you guys?
It's, first, good morning, Ed, and to our televiewers. The initial feeling when I called on them without telling anything yet was sabi nung isa, Father, pakikurot mo naman ako. O kaya, mas maigi, pwede bang pakisakal mo ko sandali? Totoo ba itong nangyayaring ito? Kasi matagal tayo na sa dilim. Ngayon, para tayong unti-unting dinadala sa liwanag. At hindi ko maarok yung aking pakiramdam, pero kakaibang galak ang yumayakap sa akin.
Well, Father, I also need to ask you this. Are any of the groups or any of the families going to The Hague for the hearings? I don't. Well, perhaps as witnesses, or perhaps as participants, or perhaps to observe. I'm not sure exactly under what context. But are any of them going?
Well, to begin with, we have families under our care who have been
Project
recognized, and there are families who have submitted their affidavit.
Yes, Father.
And along with this, there were also witnesses who were asked by the court to come over. So I suppose that there will be representations when the hearing commences.
So are some of them already there in The Hague?
Wala pa naman po.
None
from at least my own knowledge. And wala pa naman po.
Just a few days ago, we were talking to Parang Bert, Father Bert Alejo, and we were talking about your efforts, your combined efforts to bring key witnesses to testify on the drug war. Of course, I'm referring to Las Cañas and Mato Bato. Are you still in touch with them? I know they're not here anymore in the country, but are you still in touch with them? And would you know what's going through their minds right now? Because in the end, I can imagine, in the end, they're going to have to have a face-to-face with the man who they say was the one who gave them the orders.
I was gifted the chance to chat with them for a fraction of some minutes, and pero kalahati dun sa minutes umiiyak, nag-iiyakan kami.
Talaga?
Because of yung tuwa na sabi niya, tinood ba ini? So he himself, just like I before, could not believe what was taking place. And he is very thankful. Second, he said that they will make sure that they will keep themselves healthy for this long, arduous process that they have long been waiting for.
Pero Father, what I'm hearing is at the very minimum, baka 8 years at the very minimum, gugulong tong prosesong ito. I mean, it may be faster, it may be longer, but on the average, mukhang ganun katagal. So, people will still have to wait. The victims, the families of the victims will also still have to wait for quite a while.
It's true, but the uniqueness as the lawyers or even the investigators when they were uh, asked that how do you expect the progress of this case, they were the ones telling us that this is a very unique case in a sense that the very principal is the one admitting to
Mhm.
the killings that he himself accomplished. So parang bibihira yun, di ba? Yung iba tumatangi to death. Ito umaamin. Inaako lahat. So I think there would be some merits to the case if that would be the pronouncement of the principal.
Father, kakambyo ka ng konti. Okay, now for years, actually for years, the families that you're taking care of, and you personally, and the priests that have also been helping, you've been effectively marginalized and at times denigrated or belittled or called names because of what you're doing and because of what happened to the families. That much is clear. Now that this is happening, now that the former president has been arrested, he's being painted as being the victim. I'm sure you've come across the social media pronouncements and posts where Duterte and his supporters are calling for respect for their human rights. How does that come across to you, human rights advocates, and to the families?
Actually, last night we were listening and browsing over the social media, and this was after the second inurnment of 18
Mhm.
urns at Dambana na Paghilom.
Opo.
And after the debriefing po, I asked them, how do you feel right now? Ang sabi niyang isa, no, let me recall and by verbatim quote, kadiri sila, Father. Anong klaseng konsensya kung meron pa sila? Buti
Mhm.
nga siya binasahan ng Miranda rights. Kami funeral rights.
Mhm.
Buti pa sila kinuha ang mahal sa buhay. Yung amen, walang habas na pinatay. Buti siya naka-jet plane. Yung amen, kariton, i-deliver sa amin patay.
Mhm.
So this paradox reveals that that sense of playing to being a victim is so diverse, or even, yeah, as I mentioned, it's a paradox. I don't think they know how it is to truly feel being a victim. My word there, Ed, would be
Opo.
part from the dichotomy of what really happened between them and what the father did and the rest of his minions. There is this huge sense of callousness
Mhm.
that they refuse to see sin where there is and where it exists. Wala nang ganong klaseng uh, kiramdam ang pamilya ng Duterte at ang mga nagsasabi sila ay biktima ng oppression. When in truth and in fact, sila ang nagsimula ng oppression.
Mhm.
And this
Mhm.
is just a due process being granted to them. Wherein, again, this was so much deprived. The due process was deprived from the 30,000 plus victims of Duterte's oppression.
Father, tuhugin ko lang yun. I've also come across a lot of posts of people who say that they are unapologetic for their support for the drug war. But let me explain a bit some more. Ang sinasabi po nila, at least ilan sa mga posts na ito, na during that drug war, yes, there were casualties that were unintended, pero in the end daw, their families felt safer during the former president's term or tenure. So, ganun po yung kanilang pagtitimbang, at least some of them. Actually, quite a number of them. Ganun kanilang pagtitimbang na, yes, we acknowledge na merong mga nasagasaan, pero sa huli, at least sa kanilang paninimbang, merong mas matimbang yung yung kaligtasan ng kanilang mga komunidad at pamilya. How do you
I would,
what do you think
yeah,
about that?
I will not argue with that to that, but we're dealing with we're dealing with drugs in the most frightening international scale. That means where the involvement of the mafia. And when this takes place, if one kills a drug pusher, they will just simply be replaced by another principal. Second, pansamantalang kapayapaan o katahimikan mayroon sa komunidad, pero ano ang mm, epekto nung nakita ng mga bata na may dugo na dahil pinatay, pinasabog ang bungo sa harap ng kanilang bahay? The people has to see beyond that so-called peace that they now or even back then experienced versus how this peace was attained. Another point is uh, lumaganap ang enterprise ng patayan. I don't know
Normalize.
if na normalize na naging na desensitize na okay lang pumatay. And
Father, even
yet
actually, even the language was normalized.
precisely, precisely. So if this is the price for peace, then definitely we have to look for another alternative way to achieve a peace that truly uh, that truly provides the peace without bloodshed, especially coming from the state, a state that perpetuates and oppresses people.
Father, going back to what you were saying kanina, you also mentioned kasi the word dichotomy. Ito yung pagtitingin sa mga bagay-bagay na parang this lang or that, extremes eh. Either black or white, it's either my family's safety or itumba sila. And let's see na lang who the casualties are later on. How do we move away from that kind of thinking? Kasi it was a long 6 years, and mukhang some ideas have taken root. I mean, even 3 years
Yes.
later, some ideas are still there. You call nga your Project Paghilom, which is healing basically, and we're talking of course about healing of those who have lost family members. But how do we also heal wounds that have taken root and that have gotten deeper over the years? Psychological and social wounds.
Well, maganda yung tanong mo, Ed, ano? Salamat. At basically, as a practicing psychospiritual person, we suggest first and foremost that we acknowledge that there is a problem. Second, I would invite ako na lang, and even perhaps the victims I journey with, saan nagmula yung sugat? Sino ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng sugat? And then, having identified these variables, then we could move on. However, if there is a refusal to acknowledge that the wounds were caused by this person, by this situation, then I don't think it is possible to move on. So in the case of what we have now, uh, the arrest of Duterte, and even in his admission that I will take full responsibility, ano lang ang kasalanan ko, EJK lang ang kasalanan ko. He has already pronounced his own sins And I do not understand why people and his supporters primarily refuse to acknowledge that yun kasalanan niya. And so if this is the case, it would be quite difficult to move on and to experience that elusive feeling that we all wish for.
Father, I'm sure you've seen the video na nirelease ng dating Pangulo sa eroplano just before he landed sa Rotterdam. In fact, nasabi niya, okay lang siya, pero at the same time sabi niya na inaako niya inaako niya yung in a way, parang responsibilidad dun sa mga ginawa ng mga police at mga militar sa drug war. Although I didn't mention drug war per se, pero parang yun ang implication. So in the end, what he's saying is, he does seem to be making it appear na he's defending the security forces who did this, who took part in the drug war. How do you see that kind of presentation of what is happening right now?
I congratulate him for being true to his word. Bihira naman maging totoo sa salita niya yan eh. But I believe that there is something, I would like to see where he's coming from. Perhaps there is a line of truth that when he said this, he would like to spare everybody for those who are responsible. That is the quote-unquote tatay in him na cargo ko ito, sagot ko ito. But reality doesn't happen and should not take place that way. Dapat panagutin, kung siya yung architect, dapat panagutin din yung mga nagpanday, yung mga nagmason, yung mga nagpintura ng kagimbal-gimbal na kuweba ng Tokhang. It's good that he admitted it. And that also points to the fact na merong mga kasama. Hindi lang siya nag-iisa. Pinagtatanggol niya, pinagtatakpan niya yung mga kasama niya na pumatay. And this ought to be investigated. You know? It might sound laudable that I'll bite the bullet for you. But the issue here is that merong ginawang kasalanan, merong pinatay, may nag-utos, at merong pumatay. That is the issue here. If he takes responsibility for them, good. You will get the full force of the law. But it should not erase the responsibility and for the court to continue pursuing the other principals and operators of the killing. He might sound that he's taking on the responsibility, but it sounds like he is acting as a victim na will take on it when they oppress me. It's okay. Cargo ko kayo. It's another a picture being painted, but we should dig deep into the meaning of these words and motivations.
Father, cambio ako ulit. Dito po sa ICC, of course, kung sakaling umabot tayo doon, possible imprisonment kung sakaling umabot tayo doon. Pero I also understand that the ICC also looks at the possibility of reparations or kahit pa paano helping the victims of the accused pick up the pieces of their lives. I'm wondering if that has already been discussed as far as the victims, the families of the victims are concerned, or that's too far off in the future already.
Parang malayo pa po yata yun, the reparation, because I think the defendant has to be proven guilty first, and the reparation has also to come from what the guilty party has amassed, which I believe also is by the billions. So I think that will be in the later part of the case. But we would like to believe that there is something, and they should be given that reparation for all the things that we had lost. Ano? Imagine, these are breadwinners
Yes,
were
Father.
targeted. Kakaiba eh. Kakaiba talaga. Breadwinners ang pinatay. So, kahit kaya yung nanay at ultimo yung lola na 76 years old, as she was telling me, would wake up or would not sleep from 9 until 3 a.m. para lang makakalakal. And kung ano yung makalakal niya, yun ang ibibigay niyang baon sa kanyang mga apo. 76 years old. That is something that is so not absurd but tragic. So there should really be a reparation for the victims at the end of the day.
Okay. Father, we wish you the best at ingat po parate our prayers are with you. Maraming salamat, Father Flavie Villanueva, ang founder po ng Project Paghilom.
Salamat
Thank
din,
you, Father.
Ed. And
Ingat po.
buti sinabi mo yung ingat at may security issues din na nagaganap. Ano? I've had 4 security issues in the past 2 months. And sorry to just bring it out, but
Good,
there
Father.
are people tailing, there are people surveilling, and we counted at least 4 occasions in different places. So, thank you. Thank you for the concern.
Pero Father, to that point, has there been an increase in that kind of activity since the former president was arrested and taken away? In other words, magmula nung isang araw, yan po ba yung nag-increase, yung mga banta na yan?
Wala pa naman, but it only heightened last January. And the last one was a motorcycle stopping in front of me and out of the blue told me, "Hi, Father Flavie, ingat ka lagi ha." And when I asked, "Saan ka pupunta?" "Hindi, napadaan lang, nakita kita." And then, "Sige, ingat lang." Then he left immediately. And I go, wow. Kala ko Grab delivery sana eh. Nagugutom
Spotted
ako ng
talaga.
oras na yun eh. Pero pinag-iingat na lang pala ako. But thank you for the concern, and rest assured that I'll continue the safety protocols for the sake of what we're fighting for both country and the beloved poor.
Okay, Father. Maraming salamat. Ingat po at dahil mahaba-haba pang landas. Thank you, Father.